He spent his life inside operating rooms, places where seconds matter and steady hands decide who lives and who doesn't. Colleagues described him as methodical, calm under pressure, and intensely private. To patients, he was a trusted Ohio surgeon. To his family, he was the center of their world. And to investigators, he would eventually become the focus of one of the most disturbing family cases the state had seen in years. The home sat on a quiet street, lined with trimmed lawns and identical mailboxes. Nothing about the neighborhood suggested violence. No boarded windows. No police presence. Just routine. The kind of place where people assume safety is permanent. Inside that house lived 4 people whose lives were deeply intertwined, yet increasingly strained. The surgeon, according to those who knew him well, built his identity around control. Control of his career, his reputation, his finances, and his household. He was disciplined, intelligent, and emotionally guarded. Friends said he rarely shared personal struggles, preferring to handle problems alone. When stress mounted, he withdrew rather than asked for help. His spouse was described as the emotional anchor of the family. Supportive, socially connected, and far more open about concerns. Friends later told investigators she had been worried. Not afraid, worried. She had noticed changes, longer silences, sudden irritability, a sense that something was being hidden. But like many spouses of high-pressure professionals, she believed stress would pass. The children, young adults with futures still forming, trusted their father completely. They saw him as strict but dependable, demanding but protective. To them, he was stability. Investigators would later say this trust was one of the most tragic elements of the case. The environment inside the home reflected order. Furniture placed precisely. No clutter. No chaos. Which is why what police found stood out so sharply. When officers arrived, the house was quiet. Too quiet. No signs of forced entry. No broken glass. Doors locked. Windows intact. The thermostat set to a comfortable temperature. Nothing disturbed except what mattered most. Each family member was found in a different part of the home, suggesting movement, not a single moment, but a sequence. Investigators noted the absence of defensive damage to the house itself. No overturned tables. No shattered objects. This wasn't a struggle between strangers. It was controlled. Deliberate. From the very beginning, detectives focused on what wasn't there. No signs of intrusion. No unfamiliar footprints. No unknown DNA. No random chaos. Instead, they found familiarity. Latent forensic evidence became critical. Partial impressions on flooring indicated barefoot movement, consistent with residents, not an outsider. Touch DNA on door handles, light switches, and shared objects showed overlap between the same individual and every room where victims were found. Then came the timeline. Digital forensics revealed precise phone usage gaps, moments when devices stopped recording movement. Smart home data showed doors opening and closing in a sequence that mirrored the layout of the house. Water usage spiked at unusual times. Lights were turned off room by room. Investigators didn't see panic. They saw planning. Financial records added another layer. There were signs of mounting pressure, expenses, professional concerns, and looming consequences that threatened the surgeon's carefully maintained image. Prosecutors would later argue that exposure, not money, was the real fear. Psychological profiling suggested a breaking point. Experts explained that individuals who build their identity around status and control can experience catastrophic collapse when that identity is threatened. Instead of asking for help, they attempt to eliminate the problem itself. One of the most disturbing twists came when investigators realized the crime scene had been subtly manipulated. Not staged in the dramatic sense, but clean just enough to delay clarity. Certain surfaces wiped. Certain items returned to place. This wasn't about getting away with it forever. It was about buying time. The arrest shocked the community. The image of a surgeon in custody conflicted with everything people believed about safety and trust. Some refused to believe it. Others began re-examining past interactions, searching for signs they missed. As the case progressed, prosecutors laid out a narrative of escalation, not a single snap, but a tightening psychological trap. Pressure. Fear. Control slipping. And finally, an irreversible decision. At this point in the story, if you're finding this case as disturbing as it is revealing, this is where I want to pause for a moment. Stories like this don't just explore what happened, they expose how easily warning signs can hide behind routine. If you want more deep-dive investigations that go beyond headlines and into the psychology, evidence, and unanswered questions, make sure you're subscribed. It's the easiest way to support this channel and ensure these stories keep getting told. Back to the case. One of the final investigative breakthroughs came from something almost invisible: timing inconsistencies between recorded activity and physical evidence. A forensic analyst noticed that movement logs didn't align with liability patterns. Someone had returned to certain rooms after the fact. That insight helped solidify the prosecution's theory of sequence and intent. The case against the surgeon became overwhelming, not because of one piece of evidence, but because of how every detail aligned. The house told a story. The data told a story. And together, they pointed inward. Today, the accused faces multiple charges tied to the deaths of his own family. The legal process continues, but the damage is permanent. A family erased. A profession shaken. A community forced to confront a chilling truth: that danger doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly, inside homes that look just like everyone else's. If this case stayed with you, don't just move on. Like the video. Share it with someone who values deep analysis over shock headlines. And subscribe to Latent True Crime, because the most unsettling truths are rarely the ones we're told up front. Thanks for watching.